Right, so we are back and we have another instance of Diva because we're going to jump off from that chord progression we wrote in the previous video to create some actual chords for a pad. So I've pre-selected this pad sound, I think it works quite well. And what we're going to do first of all is double click back to our progression 1. I'm going to hold Option on the keyboard because I'm on the Mac. If you're on a PC, you can hold Control, drag over, and we've got it in our new situation here. So from here, what we can do is start to add some notes in order to create some chords. Now, even on its own, it could be fairly effective, shall we say. So let's have a listen on its own, and then what we'll start to do is start to build some layers. Nice, and it works pretty well on its own if we just listen to that on its own with everything else. Just taking this high pass frequency just to take some of the low end out, just to make it sit a little bit better, and you can hear it works quite nicely on its own. However, starts to come into a world of its own a little bit when we add some layers. So it could be as simple as taking a secondary note. Again, Option drag, Control drag on PC, and you'll hear it from this first note. Great, right? More powerful, more scale, more interest, just a bit more emotion as well. Gives us a lot more places to go. So what we can do is add that secondary, skip one. Nice. Let's listen to the whole thing. Very nice. So we can do the same for progression 2. Option drag over, and again, really didn't mean to sing on a course, but there you go. I'm not going that high, don't worry. So let's listen to progression 2 overall. And we can actually do something pretty interesting here. I'm just going to play progression 2, and that means the sub bass is going to play in progression 1, but there's a point to this, which we'll get to. Interesting here because again we've got this lovely harmonization going on that's a little bit counterintuitive because we've got progression 1 playing in the bass but progression 2 playing on the pads. And why does that work? Because, well, obviously it's in the same scale with the same root note. However, it works for a different reason. It's specific to these notes here. And what's going on here is that essentially, as the bass has gone down to that D flat and the pads have gone up to that A flat with the C on top to create that very simple chord, we've got a music theory or music compositional tool known as counterpoint. So again, they counter each other. They move when one moves up, the other one moves down, and we get extra emotion from that because they harmonize quite nicely. So it's a very powerful tool. So again, you can find these through playing with different chord progressions, playing with different movements. And again, think about this sub bass again like this solid foundation, this absolute bass level element that's allowing the rest of the track to jump off and become everything it needs to be. you can see quite clearly here, even though there's the same root notes, we've got different octaves. So it's actually playing higher octaves than just F1 on the Diva synth. So again, it is pretty much the case where the pads are sitting on top of the sub bass. So it makes things quite powerful where that's concerned. So very, very nice indeed. So again, we could listen to progression 2 across the board. We'll listen to the whole thing, progression 1 and 2 in order, and you'll get an idea about the whole thing sounds before we move on. We start finally putting some drums underneath this thing. So you get the idea, right? So now we've got this root core idea of this melodic techno record. The next stage is obviously to start putting some drums underneath it, some grooves, some really powerful sounds that work really well with this, that allow the melodics and the musicality to take the lead in the track, and the drums frame them beautifully. And you'll see exactly why it is that I start like this. So in the next video, Drum Machine makes its long-awaited debut, and we'll look at how to set that up and how to get the most out of it, and we'll load some kits up from a pack that I've made on melodic techno, and then we'll start to create some drums that really get this to its peak. So I'll see you in that next video. Looking forward to it.